Pittsburgh. He is having trouble with the link. He's trying to figure it out right now. But yeah, so Jeremy, how's it going, man?
Not bad. How about yourself?
Good, man. I think a lot of people are interested. You've been on the past few weeks. Liam's been helping a lot of people in the community. But there's a lot of people getting interested in Pittsburgh. There he is. Hold on. There he is. Let's let him in. There he is.
Omar, nice of you to join us.
Wow, right from the get-go, he's giving it to you already. Yeah. So as you can see, Jeremy and Omar know each other from the Pittsburgh real estate scene. I know they've done a lot of things together, burrs and whatnot. So yeah, morning, Omar.
Okay.
Oh,
Can you guys hear me actually?
yeah, yeah, we can hear you. Jeremy's been talking smack about you already.
I
So
figured. I figured.
no, but so yeah, a lot of people were hoping to see you last week. So unfortunately you couldn't make it last week. So I want to try to
Yeah, it
get
was
another
tough.
one. Yeah, no worries. But
I'm
yeah,
here now.
why don't you introduce yourself real quick to some of the people in the
Are
chat
we in
section?
already?
Yeah,
We're
we're
already
in.
live.
We're going.
We're already live. That's great. You can
You're
tell I
on
do these all the
stage.
time. You can tell I do these all the time. All right. What's going on, everyone? My name is Omar Mohammed, 32 years old, single. You can cut that part out. No, we're live. So I'm a real estate investor slash own a construction business. Nothing changed, Jeremy. Still the same guy. So started real estate about like 5 years ago to leave my full-time job and go to freedom. And now I own close to double digits, 9 units, and growing, and own a construction business as well. And we do a lot of flips, a lot of rentals. And yeah, I'm here, immigrant, entrepreneur.
So I don't mean to sound, I don't think a lot of people are tuning in to hear your portfolio size. I think a lot of people are actually more interested from your construction and the contracting side, and like even like how you and Jeremy work
Sure.
together, like from the agent side and the contract, and how you guys bring deals together and help people with burrs. Because I think that's what a lot of people are looking for. They're trying to see if burrs still work because a lot of markets are getting
Doesn't.
kind of expensive. So yeah, maybe you can touch on that as far as from the construction side, as far as what you're seeing.
Sarah said Omar is looking for a woman. I'm looking for a wife, not just a woman. A wifey, to answer that question real quick.
Liam on
No, I like to have
Instagram
fun.
says single in the laughing face.
Yeah, I like to have fun, guys. It's a lot of these things get to be like super, you know, animated anymore. So it's cool to have some fun. So the construction side, we're touching on the burr. Why I do not think the burr works. It's just and nowadays, when you are like cash flowing so low with interest rate, how are you gonna tell me how you're gonna sustain that rental, keep up the maintenance, do all these things when you buy the deal just to buy it, and then you burr out and you barely breaks even, and then a furnace goes out? How are you gonna fix that? So you're gonna actually pay to own a rental, not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to pay you, not you paying to own it. So that's just my thing on the burr strategy nowadays. It's like, okay, let's get this house, which first of all, people buy it wrong. Second, if the appraisal comes right, which that's just a whole other thing. The appraisal comes in, and it comes in like where they hoping they can pay the hard money back or pay the loan back, and then they're stuck with a property. Now you get a tenant in there, and at the end of the day, you're not making any money. So that's just my thing and the burst strategy. If there's more questions about it, I'll answer.
Yeah, well, actually, before we move on, I just want to remind everyone, I did put Jeremy's Instagram page in the chat, so go subscribe, follow him on Instagram. Omar's YouTube channel and Instagram's also in the chat, so go check them out. So on this actual topic, kind of the burr, if you go check out Omar's either Instagram or YouTube, you'll see he did a recent kind of reel. Oh, he disappeared. He did a reel or short, actually kind of talking about his thoughts on the burr, and he even kind of referenced Thatch Squinn's one of what Thatch Squinn's reels. So there he is, he's back. But yeah, Sarah also wants to say she could hear in the tone of your voice that you're looking for a wife. She loves it. She says, working with men all her life, I could tell, trust the process, brother. So
Yep.
you have a new fan in Sarah. Sarah is in the Atlanta, no, Georgia, I forget where, Savannah maybe. but she's in the military. Her and the husband have been using the VA
Nice.
loan to build their portfolio. So they're looking to grow also. But yeah, what do you think? Are you and Jeremy still doing stuff together? I mean, how's that going?
Yeah, I got a couple clients actually that reached out from Jeremy's looking for renovation. So we collab a lot on certain deals where some of his clients will buy the deal and they look for somebody to like bid it or give them, an estimate before they get the money to give it to the hard loan or before they close. So we work a lot together on that, and then we do some of our own deals separate from clients as well.
So
You
what
have
is your
always
thought?
a
Yeah,
always a plethora of houses that need rehabbed in Pittsburgh. That's for sure.
So many. We were just talking about that yesterday. Somebody was like, "Okay, do you think we'll ever run out?" I was like, "I think we will run out at one point, but that's just still so far. I'd
Oh
say
yeah,
maybe 5,
there's
7 years. There's so many of
because
them.
it's really only like the East End and like some other neighborhoods, but there's so many untapped neighborhoods that are like half vacant, rundown houses that we got plenty of runway, I think.
Yeah, plus all the people that, buy the wrong properties and then they can't keep up with the maintenance.
Yeah.
Then it becomes another deal. So beside the ones that already need fixed, there's more that are done wrong or done bad that becomes deals. There's just
That's
always,
true.
and it's raining all the
Some
time. Like
in the pipeline, you could
in
say.
the pipeline, they keep coming, So
honestly, Morning to Invest to Wealth. He's here. I'll put his YouTube channel also in the link. So go please subscribe, help him out, get his subscriber count up. But he does kind of have a kind of question. Is it in his first 5-year season after 2 bad experiences with first 2 contractors, handyman, he's kind of interested in being his own contractor, and that's kind of the process or journey for you, Omar, right? In the beginning, you're kind of like, how do I can't find people I trust, or people don't show up for work. And so how did you transition from that mindset into building your own construction site?
Jeremy pushed me to it, actually. It's kind of true. So Jeremy was one of my very first client, if not the first client. So I was building my own team. So here's the thing. Yeah, you can get into construction. It's just to let you know it's a very tough business, right? It's a very, very tough business. Not to say that it's impossible. It's just very tough. You gotta be mentally, physically, being able to handle a lot of conflicts with clients, with subs, with employees, with a lot of things, with inspectors. So, but if you can do it, I'll tell you, AI is not going to replace you anytime soon. It's very lucrative, and there's a need for it. But how I transition is I really never had the intent to become a GC or do my own thing. I just wanted to get in real estate so bad, and then I started, getting my first deal. Took me a year to renovate it because all the contractors that would show up, just like you guys know it, all the horror stories. So I start hiring my own guys and just be like, hey, let's do the framing here, let's do this here. Just watch and learn. And then I kept these guys, but I didn't have a whole lot of deal flow to keep them busy. So Jeremy was like, I'll tell you what, like I got this fourplex. If you can come in and just do it. I was like, Jeremy, I don't even know what to charge you. I don't know. Like when I do it myself.
What was the first one? I think you sent me like a notes on the notes on the iPhone.
I was sending him notes
like line by line.
Line by line item.
That was the first bid.
And then of course disaster happened, right? But the good part is like you have friends, and Jeremy understood too. Like, listen, we're trying to figure this out. The guys got it done, but then you gotta be nobody makes it on their first time. So if you're willing to take, a couple fails and keep going at it, you will make it. So I think, I told Jeremy is like 9,500. I remember, and I even felt bad because he's my friend. So I was like, am I cutting myself short? Am I having enough money to pay the guys? When you go outside, it's different, right? When they're your guys and it's your house, cool. If things went over, went less, it's your house. But with clients, what are you going to do? Keep charging them? Tell them, hey, I don't know how to do the math. But I would say definitely jump in. Don't go on a very big project if you're doing it for other people or even for yourself. Maybe start with small stuff like flooring. Okay, how much did the flooring cost me? How many days did it take in labor? Okay, then you start thinking. So you have kind of a stream, so you can look back. Okay, it takes 4 days to do a full LVP. 2 guys, this much. The materials, this cost, gas, and then you can start saying your cost. But if you're busy and you're making enough money working a full-time job, or that's not your goal, hire somebody else. There's good contractors out there.
Jeremy, how did Omar gain your trust? So, from as a working doing business together.
I think just proof of concept over time. Like he's done quite a few for our clients at this point. So just seeing those from start to finish and the finished product and whatnot. So that's just body of work, just like with anything. So now we know that we fully trusted, refer our clients and whatnot. So
And we have Brian tuning in. So morning, one of Jeremy's clients who's kind of closed on a fourplex recently, right? Looking at some other deals. Say morning to Herman. Herman's also stopping by. Herman's in Texas, I believe. We got a lot of
nice.
people tuning in, but yes. So there is a question from Flavio. Flavio is in Grandview, Washington, so he's always here supporting. So thanks, man. But he says, "Is flips still profitable in Pittsburgh?" What's your guys' thoughts on that? Maybe Omar, you can go first.
Yeah, super profitable. If you don't get too excited to just get something, and you look at your numbers and don't skip a step. Yeah, like I mean, I'll say the last couple we did, they went over asking with a lot of money. Now, not to say that all of them will do that, but if you get a good deal, yeah, super profitable.
Jeremy, what's your
Yeah, I
thoughts on
think
that?
a lot of areas that previously may have worked for Burr are now flip areas. So you're seeing more that work as flips now than Burr properties, just naturally given the interest rates going up, prices going up. So we are seeing more flips and they're still profitable, especially if you can stay around that medium price point in the right neighborhoods, right areas. There's still a lot of demand on the back end buyers. And if you buy it right and you get the right rehab numbers, then there's good profit margins still on flips in Pittsburgh. So yeah, it's definitely a strategy that works still to this day.
Omar, I saw one of your recent reels, I think, or shorts, and I think that's going to be a lot of someone's question if they were looking to invest in Pittsburgh, and I hear it quite a bit, is like knob and tube wiring. Like, how would someone deal with that, or how do you address that?
So a lot of Pittsburgh properties are like old, like really old, and none of the maintenance has been done on them. So it just happens when you're flipping, you got to update the wiring, because you're going to go from like maybe buying it at 90, 100, 200K, and some areas they can go for 400, 600. So nobody's going to willing to be spend that. And then the inspector is going to come in with a full list telling you, okay, this is old, this is need changed. So it's nothing to really worry about. I think when we were starting, or when I was starting at least, these things would worry me. Oh, there's knob and tube rewire. Like, okay, so what? You just pull out the old wire, you rewire the house, there's a quote, it gets done, inspected and done. But yeah, there's a lot of with old houses becomes a lot more maintenance than I see other people in different areas. So you're just gonna have to rewire the house. It's that simple, and you get a full rough in, and then you inspect it, then you get the finishes, and then you inspect it. So it's really not that hard to do. But it does scare a lot of people when they hear knob and tube. They think like, oh, this is not a deal. Or a lot of things with these old houses, or the basement has water in it. Maybe in some areas in Washington or something, if there's water in the basement, that's a big issue. Here in Pittsburgh, that's normal. I can't. Jeremy, have you ever been in a basement and you didn't see water in Pittsburgh? If I
It's
don't see
just
water,
to what degree they all have dampness, at
if
least
I
you could
don't
say
see
that.
water in the basement, I'm walking away. I was like, okay, this is not a deal. And then you're looking for deals. Let's go back to the main point. Deals, they're gonna have issues. Somebody's trash is another man's treasure. So I want to see some issues this way where you can fix it and you can make money. But if you go buy a house that doesn't need anything and then thinking, okay, you got to make money, why would you make money? Like it's very rarely that happen unless you really buy it super cheap. But you gotta get something that needs a lot of work, fix it up, then now it's worth a lot more.
I just want to say morning to some more people tuning in. We got Joe Farrell here, mortgage lending entrepreneur. So he also has a podcast, Drive for 25. I will put it in the chat soon, but he is in the Missouri area. He's a lender. He's doing a lot of cool stuff out there. So he's definitely trying to help people build more income, learn how to get that down payment, learn how to get on the property ladder. So thanks for tuning in, Joel. We got Joe V tuning in. Surprised he hasn't insulted me yet, but thanks for always tuning in, Joe. Joe's a good guy. He's in Wisconsin area. But like you touched on, Omar, maybe we can dig into that a bit more, like the dampness in the basements, right? If not seeing water, I think that's another thing that scares a lot of out-of-state investors away when they get that first inspection report, and that pretty much is a guarantee to probably show up on the inspection report, and usually that's kind of scares a lot of people away, I would say. So how do you maybe address that? And Jeremy, you can touch on that after. Like, how do you help your clients kind of navigate that situation from the inspection report side?
Yeah, so the dampness or inspection reports, it's always a good idea to get an inspection, especially if you've never been to the property. And it's good for me too, because I'm not an inspector, right? I can walk in, I can see stuff, but I'm not spending 3 hours there with my, flashlight trying to get, I'll see what it needs and then tell you based on experience how much it will take in renovation. But, like I could see from far away, the roof is not good, but I don't know if the wood underneath it is good or not. That's an inspector job. So it's good to pay the 600 or the 800 and get an inspection and get a report. Then you take the inspection, take the scope of work, give it to your contractor, and then the contractor can bid it. So, but again, it's nothing really scary. There's nothing in a house so far from doing so many flips and being in the game for a while. There's nothing that cannot be fixed. Nothing. So it's all a numbers game, right? And your comfortability. Maybe this scares you, cool. It might not scare somebody else. But there's nothing that cannot be fixed. So again, here's a house. I buy it for 100K. It needs 150 in renovation, 250. What is it gonna sell for? If it sells for and your numbers work, why wouldn't you do it? And you're in Wisconsin, working your full-time job, but you invest it. Why not? Okay, but maybe I want to be more, again, the more risk, the more reward. A lot of people probably will be scared of houses like that. That's where usually we end up making a lot of the money because people are just worried to deal with it, right? But if you have a good team on your side, a good agent, a good contractor, a good inspector, and it just keeps moving, I'll tell you, the clients that have us, they don't just do one deal or two deals. Some of them end up doing 6 deals at the same time. Why? Because the process work. Plug in the numbers. Then. Okay, I'm gonna make 30K when it sells. Worst case scenario, best case scenario, I make 80K. Cool. Pull the money. Do it. Let's keep moving.
Jeremy, from your standpoint as the agent, trying to help his client kind of look through the inspection report, help them navigate that. How do you deal with that? Like those type of things that come up, like the knob and tube and the dampness in the basement.
I think it's just explaining to clients. A lot of people, especially if they're on the West Coast, they don't know what a basement is. So explaining that a lot of these things are just Pittsburgh things. They're not abnormal. And it's just a matter of to what degree. So like all these houses built in the early 1900s had knob and tube. That was what they were built with. So in the basement thing, it's just like we have a lot of hills in Pittsburgh. These houses were over 100 years old. There's going to be some degree of dampness. You really just have to make sure it's not like legit flooding. If it's just dampness, that's normal. So we don't want people shying away from a good deal just because there's a little dampness in the basement, because if that's your criteria, then you're going to be tough sledding to find something of that age in Pittsburgh. So the knob and tube thing too, it's just explaining to them kind of how these old houses are made up. And a lot of it's if it was updated or not. Like a lot of times the knob and tube has been updated into newer wiring and they get rid of it, so you don't have to worry about it. But when it is there, it's just kind of the main thing is if it's in the basement visible, that's a different scenario than if it's behind the walls, because a lot of these it is behind the walls. And it depends on if it's a rental or a flip as well, because say if it's behind the walls, that may be more of an issue on a flip compared to a rental property. So it's just explaining kind of how everything works in Pittsburgh, the houses themselves, what they want to do with the property, and then the repercussions of if there is knob and tube or the degree of the wetness in the basement and how to mitigate that. And like Omar said, at the end of the day, you can fix anything. It's just a matter of what costs. And then if it does need fixed, factoring that into the rehab estimate. And we do see people get burned with that too, because they don't factor that stuff in because they aren't aware of it. So just making sure they're aware of it and what it might cost and if it's necessary to replace or do something with or not, basically.
We also have another one of Jeremy's clients tuning in, Harrison, Trade Better 99. So he says, good morning. He says, yeah, he's been kind of busy working right now, but he says, Omar, how painful is it to replace terracotta piping? is it a big lift?
Yeah, definitely is. I mean, we usually, so in the big flips in nicer areas, we get rid of the stack anyway because we're doing new plumbing, we're replumbing, we're probably adding bathrooms. But if you're talking about sewer line, that could be a big pain because it depends on how far it goes. So here in Pittsburgh, we usually get the sewer scope during the inspection report, right? And Jeremy or his team can help you with that, like connect you with a few people. And then based on that scope, we get the camera, like the sewer camera. We can look if it's moving, the water's flowing, there's no issues, you don't have to mess with it because that could be a big charge. It can kill your flip. Now, if there's cracks or there's blockage, if a house hasn't been lived in a long time, most likely there is. We It depends where the location is. So if it's just in the basement, okay, we can dig it up, replace it, probably under 5K. Now if it goes out and it's 10 feet down and your property is on a hill, yeah, good luck. You messed up there. That's going to be 25, 30K. So definitely do your due diligence before you buy. But a really good question. But in the house, so easy. You just cut it out, replace it, and put the new stack, new plumbing. But under the property, could be big issues.
All right. As usual, like I said, I was waiting for Joe V to insult me. So he said, I think he was talking about for both of you when you guys talk to clients. Joe V says, explain it to them like you would explain it to a firefighter. Grow up. Put on your big boy pants if the numbers worked, and let's go. So
Sometimes, a lot of times, that is the conversation.
don't give Joe any ammunition. But like I said, Joel checked out some of your reels just now, Omar. So he said that your YouTube channel is doing really well. Looks like some of the reels
Thanks,
are
Joe.
taking off, and I think you kind of hopped off quickly. You might have hit the wrong button earlier, but I actually was talking about one of your most recent reels about you kind of
Smoking down.
Thatch Gwynn. No, I was gonna say kind of your take on Thatch Gwynn's kind of his reel about building
Yeah.
wealth maybe and the burr, and you kind of touched on that earlier. But where did that all start from? What made you make that reel and put that out there?
It's a good question. So honestly, I was just tired of the fake advices that people give online, right? And I'm tired of seeing clients that come in, doing this, and I tell Jeremy and Madam, my friends, I was like, as much as I want to just be your contractor, it's just not on me to see you buying a wrong deal, not gonna make any money, and just going burn down because you watch somebody on YouTube or watch somebody on Instagram that told you to do it that way, right? I've learned from social media. Like that's where I got most of my knowledge to begin with. Then I took action. I'm not saying that you're not gonna fail. Fail is necessary for you to make it. But at the same time, is I see all these gurus that jump in online and just sell a dream to sell you a course or sell you something. It's just gonna happen. I mean, I know so people that are, anybody can get a mic and really get online and just say whatever. I was just fact checking and saying my opinion that the burst strategy, he said that one of his clients in 6 months bought 6 properties or something, or somebody became a millionaire from 6 properties. I'm even saying, 10 properties won't make you a millionaire if you're using the burst strategy, right? Because at the end of the day, if you factor in interest, you factor in all that, but he's preaching, do not look at cash flow, which is totally the opposite of what I preach or what I say or what I believe in. Because if you don't have cash right now, what you got? On paper, you look good. Great. Have the papers pay your bills. And
We may have
sorry,
lost
clients calling.
Oh,
Can you guys hear me?
yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us? I think it's going to your voice message. Well, we'll wait till he figures it out. But say morning, Frank, for tuning in. Old guy REI. While we're waiting, then I'll just throw this out there real quick. So everyone, I'll put the PayPal link again. So this is the shirt for the one rental at a time fundraiser. Or Frank is looking to donate money to the Blind Center where the event will be at next year. That is the front of the shirt. Here is the back of the shirt. And yeah, so Omar is back. Let's bring him back in. And there he is. He's back again. And I'll put that link for the shirt. Yeah.
I like the shirt. What's that shirt?
That is for the one rental at a time. The Vegas event. So old guy REI, who's also here, and he's a contractor out in California also, but he invests out of
Cali.
state because California is too expensive. But he is trying to raise money to donate to the blind center where the event is held at. So that is a shirt he has, and I'll put the PayPal link in the chat right after this. But yeah, so for a lot, I think Jeremy connected with, he connected with Jim also. Where Omar just, where do you go now? Well, but I think that's the one thing, right?
He's like a
Yeah.
ghost. He keeps appearing and disappearing.
But like California is a very expensive market, right? So it's difficult for a lot of them to make those numbers work. So like Jim is thinking about ground up, like building ground up, even in Pittsburgh. So do you have thoughts on that? Do you do any ground up builds, Omar?
No, we haven't really. We haven't got into that. I thought about it, but then I got some really good advice, and I think it's good for everybody too. As being an entrepreneur, you always have that thought about like creating, right? So, okay, created the construction business, is doing really well. Now my mind is like, okay, I'm not getting that dopamine kick from the construction anymore. What else can I do? And then I'll think about that and I was like, okay, great. What else can I do? So I went to a really good class or seminar or something, and you can discuss with big people to make big money. And that was one of my things I had to learn, right? Is like to stay focused on what you're doing right now and grow it more, right? So I start like any idea that comes in, sometimes I'll call Kareem, my operation manager, and we'll just run through a whole business from the beginning till it ends, how much money it would make, how the system will be created, an hour. And it will be like, okay, yeah, Kareem, we're never doing that. Just kill it. Let's focus on what we're doing. But I understand it's something that's in me that's always going to keep thinking about ways to make money, but that doesn't mean I always need to proceed it. But yeah, so I thought about it, had the whole plan, and then I was like, nope, sticking to what we do best, which is renovations and turning old properties to beautiful properties and grow this. If we're doing 25 flips, let's do 50. If we're doing 50, let's go 100.
Cool.
Figure out what works and
Yep.
do more of it. It's really that simple.
Ah.
People get scatterbrained and shiny
Yep.
object syndrome, but at the end of the day,
And it's normal. You see all this things popping up and all this stuff online, and people look for easy way. And sometimes they think real estate is the easy way to make money or the fastest way.
passive income, right?
Passive income. True.
What?
No work involved. Just buy a rental
and
and
you're gonna
collect
make
the paycheck.
200, 300, and 6 months you're gonna become a millionaire. You're
Retired.
done. that literally what people say online, So that's why I made that reel back in there, just to say that's not true.
Yeah, I think online you just have to take it with a grain of salt. Like something I've always followed is like look at what the person's actually done themselves, and then a lot of people you have are spitting it, just fake it till you make it, I guess you say, and it's just taking it with a grain of salt, what's legit or not. It's like the wild west online for
really
sure.
is.
What would you say about like the permitting side and that type of stuff, Omar, for people wanting to maybe do flips and get work done?
Yeah. So
in the city limits,
the P word we call it, right? So yeah. So my perspective now on it is totally different than before. It's not scary, it happens. It's just you gotta understand that it does take longer, right? And things have to be done in order. You can't just rush throughout the project. Is like, okay, let's just do drywall now. Then we're gonna stuck in taking all the drywall down, and because the inspector is gonna come and want to see what's behind the walls. So things take. This one client, she just doesn't understand. Sometimes we're busy, But you guys can hear me, okay, right? Okay, so the permits.
What if you turn
I
on
did.
DND?
And she's calling 7 times in a row. Yeah,
Sure.
out of state, first property. Probably did a big mistake. Shouldn't have bought it. And I told her I don't want to work on it.
Sounds about.
Told her I
right.
don't want to work in it. I don't want
Checks
nothing.
out.
And here's what these people do. I think this is a good thing that we jump. They go buy a house, right? This is a house that's bought, I think, for 120. ARV's 240. And before they closed, they brought me in. Omar, how much does this cost? I was like, okay, this is gonna cost 120 to fix this house. Spot at 120.
all right, Omar, give me a deal, 115. Omar, give me a discount. I was like, this is not. I'm not selling you tires here to give you a discount. Like, I mean,
Maybe you should have got the discount on the
well, how
sale.
about we don't do the roof, Omar? I was like, that's decisions you make. You know, I was like, okay, I'll take the roof out. Okay, where are we at now? I guess we're like taking the roof out. We're at 100K. No, I need to be at 80. Then the house is never gonna sell. I can take your 80K right now and make some money, but I promise you, the house will never sell. And I just don't want to be involved with it, right? So I called the agent. I told him I'm done with it. I'm not getting into that. It's a messy situation. And he was like, it must be nice to pick up your client. I was like, yeah, before I used to just take whatever. Now, no, I'm not going to get in this situation, messy situation. Because what happened is they do the numbers the opposite, right? Like if it's going to 120 and you're going to sell it for 240, then you need to buy the house under like maybe 70K. But you bought the house for 120 and it needs 120 to fix it. That's you breaking even if it's sold for 240, right? Not thinking about holding costs, not thinking about all that. So that was my opinion. They still bought the house. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of contractors that can help, but I'm out of there. So they keep calling, asking me why I don't want to go back, but you know.
They probably got a bid from another contractor for half
Yeah.
the price, and now it's magically higher than what
And
you
how
would
many
have bid.
times we see them, Jeremy? Like, okay, the house will sit on the market forever if it gets done. That's number one. Get the work done for half the price. There's always somebody cheaper, right? So if you're an investor, you got to understand good work is not cheap and cheap work is not good.
You get what you pay for in
Yeah.
any business.
Maybe both of you can even touch on this. So Flavio's asking, how do you find your flips? He says Omar, but I think Jeremy does flips also. So Omar, you can touch on that first.
Jeremy, find me my flips actually. Like, so I'm so busy right now. So my agents do a great job of like, okay, so Jeremy will go look at deals all the time. And if something he knows what I like, he'll be like, Omar, I think this is a good one. So a lot of realtors now do send me the deals that they think I would like. But to be honest with you, I would maybe Flavio, that's not what you were looking for. So in the beginning, you got to think about if you're looking on market and off market. All right, there's two different leads: on market, off market. On market, you got to be quick, you got to be competitive, and Jeremy can jump on that. Off market, now it's less, it's more work, but it's way less competitive. It's you straight to the seller, right? You can do whatever. All my first deals were off market. I won like 6-7 deals before I got anything on the market because I couldn't compete with these cash buyers from California or Canada or wherever they at. They can just do quickly. I'm still the small guy, so you got to understand where you're at, and I couldn't take that big risk at that time. So I need to find a good deal. I need to make sure I buy correctly. You go on market and it overbids and you overspend on the house like this one I'm just talking about, then you're stuck. So I'm a big fan of off market in the beginning. And again, not wholesalers. Find your own deals personally or connecting with an agent that can go do the work quickly. Get me in there. We have the estimate. We have the bid. Tells you it's a good deal. Liam, Liam is on Jeremy's team. I literally go see a house yesterday with Liam. Amazing deal. And Liam was like, I sent it to 3 clients and they backed out. I was like, what? I would have taken it. Why didn't you send it to me? He was like, too late. I got it under a contract. I was like, Liam, it's an amazing house. The numbers are great on it. I think the ARV is like in the 400, Jeremy. You know which one I'm talking about, Jeremy, right? The one.
Highland Park.
Yeah. So the numbers are in 400. That's being conservative. And I think Liam got it at 220. And it does need 80K in renovation. So he's going to be all in maybe 300. Best case scenario, he sells it for 480. Worst case scenario, he sells it for 440, 420. Why wouldn't you want to connect with an agent like that and then listen to him when he sends you something, right? And then that's back what I'm doing. If you're on the market, get with an agent, trust that agent, see the deals, run your numbers, get a contractor. If you're off market, learn. You can do cold calling. That's how I did it. You can connect with people. There's so many ways off market. I'm sure you can find them online. But that's my 2 sentences there, maybe 4 sentences.
Anything you want to add to that, Jeremy?
Yeah, I think just with anything, the amount of work and effort you put in, the potential more profit you can get. So direct to seller is going to be your highest profit potential, but that consists of you spending money or time to go direct to sellers, Whereas a nice middle ground could be either wholesale deals, working with an agent that's already doing that on a daily basis. It's a way to kind of make it more passive on yourself. You're kind of just getting deals sent to you. You're giving up some of the profit by the agent commissions, the wholesaler assignment fees, but it's more seamless from that standpoint. So it's really a matter of how much time and effort you can put into something as far as what you're trying to achieve. So somebody that's busy with a day job, it's going to be a lot different than somebody that's doing it full time trying to find deals. So really just increasing the surface area of potential deals that come your way, making offers on stuff that looks good, and then make enough offers at prices that work for you, you're going to eventually land a deal. So it's just one big funnel as far as finding potential deals, making offers, getting ones under contract, and then moving forward with the ones that you do run the proper numbers on. That's where you can get into trouble where you're not doing the math right, or working with good people that are giving you information. So at the end of the day, that's just kind of the process, and just continue to do it until you make enough profit from the properties that you're getting.
Sarah wants to say, like to Omar's point, it's not overnight success or wealth. She's saying, 10 years minimum, kind of what Michael Zuber of One Rental at a Time kind of teaches and preaches. Sarah also says, Omar is legit with his frankness. I love it. I want to say morning to KC. He is in California, but he is more than 1 foot out the door. He is tired of California, and
I would be too.
Yeah, he is trying to get out of there. He is over to the craziness there. Sarah also says, yes, 100% math doesn't lie and does not care about your feelings. Flavio has a question. He said, do you folks have any bad experience with wholesalers? Maybe Jeremy, you can touch on that? Or
Yeah, the ones that don't know what they're doing, we've had bad experiences with. They'll tell the seller they won't be upfront with the seller, which is the industry trying to crack down on that by making wholesalers be licensed now. But we've run into issues where the seller's clueless. They don't know what's going on. They think the wholesaler is actually buying the property. They tell the seller that the people coming through are their partners. So they're left in the dark. It's just people not having good business practices. That's where you can run into issues with wholesalers. That, or you just have them giving false numbers as well, telling people the ARV is higher, the rehab's lower, the rent's higher than it actually is. So just dealing with that, like wholesalers being sneaky, basically. But the guys that do it properly, have good wholesaling businesses, they're great to work with. It's just in any industry, you're going to have shady characters that can make things more difficult for both sides involved. So I think you're starting to see less of it now that they have to be licensed, but that's the biggest thing I think we've had issues with, is those things in particular with the wholesalers.
we got someone new tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. I think it's Saif Code. Morning, aloha. Please subscribe. Check out all our channels. But thanks for tuning in. He says, you guys look cool. I think he's talking about you, Omar. He said, what's the topic? I'm saying Pittsburgh real estate.
It might be a cousin. Safe. It's an Arabic name, so that's why it might be a little biased.
Well, Flavio, so like I mentioned earlier, Flavio is in Grandview, Washington. He seems to think for some reason that Pittsburgh is just crime ridden. He's worried. So his question was, Omar, do you have to provide vests for your workers when they go out to the job sites, like bulletproof vests?
Yeah, when the police, sometimes I call my guards, and then we're always armed. Anytime we're in a job, we're armed. No, man. I'm joking with you. No, we're totally fine. People say this about everywhere, honestly. Oh, you're moving to Tennessee. Be careful, man. They're scary there. They don't like people that look like you. You know what I'm saying? It's so dumb. I lived in America for nothing against you, Flavio, but like people that do that, they're always going to scare you wherever you go. You know what I mean? But there is crime. We do work sometimes. A lot of these properties are in like a really shady areas. But dude, like honestly, like it's people understand there's renovation. We had zero issues. I mean, every single time Jeremy brings me a property, there's always squatters, and Jeremy will attest to that. The last 5 at least with his clients. But people just, they know there's work done. Really zero issues. There is one right now in this triplex we're doing in Mount Washington. He's a homeless guy. He's just sitting outside. The other day he came and he's trying to help my guys, and I was like, no, dude, you're not helping the guys. If you want to sit outside and watch, cool. You can watch, but you're not helping. And he's like, I'm just not doing anything. I want to help a little bit. I used to do this with my dad. And I was like, okay, we got no time for that. But, just sit down and watch. You're allowed, but don't enter the property. Do not go in there. And I kick him out too, usually, like I could just be like, get out of here. Like, this is not your house no more. But yeah, no, it's safe. It's really safe.
Yeah.
Our bad neighborhoods really aren't that bad compared to bigger cities. Like, there's probably less than 5 that I would say I'm uncomfortable during the day to walk around. So I don't know. I don't think it's really that bad in terms of other cities, in my opinion, at least. It's because it's just more laid back, smaller. It's not a huge city. So.
Sorry, I'm trying to. So I want to say what's up to Radovan, I believe. But his handle is Duranom Durable Venom. That's his company. But he is actually new to the school community. So he says he's learning so much. He said thanks to Omar and Jeremy for coming on. He's learning so much. But he's I'm trying to bring it up real quick because I know he had a question in school. And I don't know if you deal with like driveway or repairs, Omar, or whatnot, or do you guys have connections for that?
For what? Driveways?
Driveway repair. Yeah, he's looking for advice on that.
So in Pittsburgh, there's not really a whole lot of driveways, but we've done a couple. A lot of it, like if there's a driveway, just we concrete it, we patch it, or we put gravel just to keep it cheap. That costs cheap.
Yeah, just throw some gravel down. You're good.
We're flipping too. You're not trying to, make it amazing here. Houses in Pittsburgh also are not like those crazy, amazing, beautiful houses. There's single family homes. They're usually like 4 bedrooms. So we do a lot of gravel. We will create a driveway in concrete, but not a whole lot. Like usually if we don't put brand new driveway in. Although I have this new house, and if you follow me, I'm going to share it soon. That we're working on for a client out of state as well. And he's trying to create that nice driveway. That would be one of my first ones to do. So you can take a look at it and see. I'm going to post a video of it and show you guys how we do it and how much it costs too. So it helps as well too. But yeah, not a whole lot.
Sarah says, I love it. Omar is hilarious. Was told that all my life too. Can't do because I was black. And the Africans in Iraq had to school me on how dumb that was. So she, like I said, she's in the military. And it's funny too. She was talking about she was talking about how so many, they want to marry her for the citizenship and the benefits and all these things. So she was always getting offered to marry these individuals. But yeah,
but they're saying also on commenting that a little bit because I'm very passionate about these things, and she's saying she's seeing it in school that people tell her they can't do or stuff like that because she's being black or whatever. Sometimes people focus on that way too much and spend time telling you, well, you're an immigrant or you're black or you're Asian or you're white or you're a girl or whatever. I really don't believe in any of that anymore because guess what? Hustle doesn't know color. You go out there, you hustle, you work hard than anyone else, you'll make it happen. So I don't buy too much in that. If somebody can do it, so anybody can do it.
Yeah, so Radovan, I don't know if you're working with an agent yet in Pittsburgh or anything, or even a contractor, but yeah, reach out to Jeremy or Omar or message me in school if you want their information, and I'll introduce you to them. But Jeremy has, like I mentioned, he has been on Bigger Pockets recently, so he was on one of their recent episodes. But I want to know, who is the bigger rock star in Pittsburgh between Jeremy and Omar in the real estate scene? So who is the rock star there?
Jeremy is the rock star.
The answer is yes. How about that?
It depends on what you're looking for, really. So, like, we work together.
We're one-stop shop.
So we work together. So Jeremy, as an example, is your agent who you would need to buy, who you need to sell. I'm your contractor that will work with you and Jeremy to get the house done, looking amazing so you can sell quickly. And we both have different strategies for investing too, and different goals and different things, but we both help each other to focus on how to grow. So it's not like a competition, and that's like I like to think about. A lot of people look into things as competition. I've never felt competition with my close friends, which Jeremy's one of them, right? Like you don't compete. When you compete with your circle, you're never going to make it happen, right? You learn from each other, you push each other. If Jeremy needs help and I can help him, I'll help him without thinking anything in return. That I know Jeremy would do the same thing for me. So you got to have a good circle like that to keep pushing you up and help each other, not a competition.
All right. So Radovan he says, real quick, separate concrete structure with steps leading to main entry. Repair patch or repoured new or replaced for wood composite structure. So like
wood composite structure. Cheapest option. Cheapest, most durable option. It depends how bad it is, right? If you can just patch it and it looks good for a flip or a rental, also like there's so many different things here. If you're flipping it or renting it, it's different. But again, cheapest, most better looking option. Numbers. I gotta look at numbers and look how it looks. But usually we've just done a couple and they were really in a bad shape. We took them out and put new wood.
Good. I love that quick, just kind of to the point. But yeah, Radovan, maybe reach out and you can get a better, more detailed breakdown of it. KC, he said, that's what make America great. So that's why
Again.
KC, yeah. Yeah. Hey. Hey, morning, Oakley Bull. Haven't seen you here before. Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe to our channels. Yeah, Hyder says, let no one else's perspective limit your abilities. Only consider what they have to say. Yeah. Sarah says, me, capitalism, don't care. Safe says, do you guys run a real estate together? So you guys do work together, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we
Jeremy,
had
Omar.
a meetup here, and we're in a lot. Actually, today I'm speaking in one of the events, one of the bigger events in Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh is full of like real estate activities. We used to have one, and Jeremy threw it all away. It breaks my heart. No, Jeremy didn't actually, but we had our own meetup groups. Dingus did. Matt, our friend, just got tired. He got a girlfriend. That's what happened. That's the real true story. That shouldn't be told on the podcast that I always would tell you. He got a girlfriend. He's in Punta Cana now, and he just has no time anymore. But but no, we do work a lot together, and we just communicate together. We have always calls and do business together. I will look in a deal, and sometimes I'll send it to Jeremy. I was like, hey, I'm not so sure on comps here. What do you think? And Jeremy would be like, hey, to safe side, say that. Or Jeremy will go to a house. I'll be like, listen, I'm thinking about flipping that. And I'm second guessing my numbers. What do you think? So yes, you do need a good circle. And when I met Jeremy, I think Jeremy had he was in the 30 unit mark or something, and I was just doing my first. So it doesn't matter if you haven't done any deals. Don't feel like you're less or you don't belong. Get on your Facebook right now. If you're in DC, if you're in no matter where you're at, Wisconsin, Texas, Houston, I've seen different things. You're going to find some people in your area. And I mean, you guys are doing it right now. You're communicating through school and with Mark. But there is so much value in being around people that do the same thing you want to do. Like Jeremy, like Matt, like Liam. We pushed each other so hard. We became best friends out of a networking group. That's literally how we met. I went to a networking group. I had one deal. I was doing a 203K loan. And then everybody was interested in it. Jeremy was like, oh, really? You're doing a 2 or 3K loan? Because it's a great way to get into real estate cheap. And, we start talking, and then we learned from each other. And then we're like 6 years now friends. I've been in Jeremy's wedding, been in Liam's wedding. We've had great time together. We make money. So get you some good friends.
Yeah, Safe pretty much says the exact same thing you just said. I guess business is about connectivity. You three can push each other so far.
Till a girlfriend comes in and take one of them away. What's up, dude?
Omar, Ben on Instagram says, hey, now it's not dead yet.
Oh, so Ben took it over. Sorry, Ben. Unless for me it was dead.
Sorry, Ben. You don't come anymore.
I've been busy.
See, so he's the biggest rock star. Then he doesn't show up. He
doesn't show up anymore.
Yeah, and then everybody else doesn't.
We'll make it happen.
It was funny because so Omar, like I said, you unfortunately couldn't make it to the last live with Alex Deacon, and you had an inspection to walk through, and I messaged Liam. I said, hey, is there any other contract? Because a lot of people want a contractor's perspective, on the live. And I was like, hey, is there another contractor you think would be willing to come on or a good fit? And Liam's like, I don't think anyone else will fit this kind of setup like Omar will. And I think a lot of people tuning in today will probably agree that you are a perfect fit for this kind of live stream and Q&A. There's a Brandon. I'm not sure. Thanks for tuning in. I haven't seen you here before, but welcome. I says, what does Jeremy think of the current state of the real estate market regarding interest rates and in the next 6 months?
I don't see them shooting down within the next 6 months. So I think it's going to kind of continue to be a slog like it has been, just kind of prices staying the same in a lot of markets. Some markets are seeing them go down because of the interest rates staying higher for longer, especially in the commercial space, like multifamily commercial buildings. So that's the longer they stay high, I think the more cracks you're going to see, specifically in commercial. And then residential, it just takes longer. So there's still a lot of demand in residential, but we're starting to see, I think, inflation and just the economy in general catch up to a lot of people. So that's causing some of these markets that were overinflated to kind of come back down to earth. And we're still seeing a stalemate between sellers and buyers a lot of times, because obviously with interest rates being higher, buyers can't afford as much. They don't want to pay as much for the houses, but sellers still think their places are the Taj Mahal and that they should get the same price for them as when interest rates were 3%, but that's not the case anymore. So it's causing transactions to still kind of be down as far as the number of them that happen. So it's just kind of still a stalemate, somewhat frozen residential market, and commercial just trending downwards as far as that goes. But it'll be interesting to see when and if they do come down. I think next year probably, especially like with Trump really pushing for them to be lower, but Powell's still in there and he doesn't want to lower them. And I think his term's up next May. So it could get interesting at that point. But until then, I think it's going to be pretty much a lot of the same that it has been.
This is actually a great question from Brandon. It says, Omar, has tariffs affected your bids costs with a lot of the projects you're working on?
Yeah, it is a good question. Yes and no. So we suffered a little bit from people like, with shipping specifically. I mean, we do depend on a lot. Home Depot, I feel like everything is from China. So, they postponed that, but people were nervous at that time, and some people spiked some prices up. We do, like, our kitchen supplier also, get a lot of stuff imports from China, but it did not affect my prices. No, it didn't really go in effect where I see the prices jumped up high. There was a little bit of time where things you couldn't find. So it's all supply and demand. So if they're not on the market, their price is going to go up. But no, nothing major. Maybe delayed few things where we couldn't find it, but we're back to normal. Nothing really happened.
Yeah, I'm hoping Brandon introduces himself a little bit more, maybe what market he is in.
I think he works with the IRS.
Yeah.
Secret
agent.
Yeah, Hyder says, tariffs not adding much cost either, in his opinion. So Hyder is kind of does contracting work in California, but he also works on a property in Gary, Indiana, an investment property that he's kind of putting sweat equity in with a partnership with some other people in the one rental at a time community. So he says, yes, he does work there armed, because Gary was known as like the crime capital of the world or the country at one point. So he goes armed to work over there. So
that's crazy.
The Gary, Indiana thing's great.
Going armed. Or where
so many people
bulletproof vest. That's crazy.
Oh, so okay, so you know Brandon and see Omar. He said Pittsburgh, Omar's best friend from a Florida trip.
Iconic.
I know. What's up, Brandon? Now I know who he is. Not the IRS.
Oh, not the other Brandon too, right?
I got a lot of good friends.
Or the Biden Brandon, right?
No.
Let's go, Brandon.
That was Jeremy's bachelor party, by the way, the Florida trip.
Ah, okay. Jovi says it's bad in Gary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let's see.
What's in Gary? Is there anything
Not
there?
right now.
Drugs.
So I don't know. Well, that's where Michael Jackson was born.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But that I think so. Same thing with Pittsburgh, though. Like there was an article right about the steel, Trump signing off with the I think the Japan steel factory, or but there's going to be some things brought back to Pittsburgh or whatnot for maybe jobs. But there was also something in Gary, I think, that they were going to build um, some sort of infrastructure, like some not stadium, but event type thing. So I don't know exactly specifics, but there is some stuff that's going to be
He
coming
said
back to
nothing.
Gary also. Yeah, so Jovi was in Chicago before, but he's in Wisconsin now. So yeah, this was a good one. I mean, I know you guys are both busy. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to touch on before we wrap things up. Omar, I mean, so how many projects maybe do you have going on at one time, would you say?
Right now, we used to do between 8 to 12. Now we're between 16 to 20 projects. I mean,
Okay.
not all of them are huge. I would say like some of them could be smaller things, but right now I think we have about 8 that are like full flips, and then the rest are just smaller things. So
And what are you
tonnage.
seeing, Jeremy, on from the agent side as far as I know how's the transaction side? Is people a lot of out of state people reaching out to you? Like how's that looking?
Yeah, it's still pretty busy. I mean, because we work with investors, and I think it's actually getting more favorable for buyers as far as the market dynamics. So it's actually, I would say, picked up the last couple months on that side of things compared to a little bit earlier in the year, maybe you could say. But yeah, it's always pretty steady with investors, especially in Pittsburgh. So the whole year is pretty decent amount of
See,
transactions.
Jovi is so that is why I wear a hat because Jovi always says my bald head blinds him in the lives. So he's even attacking you, Omar. He says,
I
"Whose head
said,
shines more,
Joey
Mark or
wants
Omar?"
some smoke. I let it slide. Hey, Joey, it doesn't matter if your head shines or not. The bank account is what it's more important, you know. We're
But
men. Men don't care about looks, you know. If you're real.
but Radovan says, does Omar handle foundation repair, waterproofing, French drains, and similar services?
No, not really. I sub it out. Some foundation repair, like if it's anything has to do with the framing or the wood or the joists, yes. But like if you're talking about the brick or something like that, no, there's foundation companies that do that we pass that jobs to them. So we can still get you a bit, but I personally or my guys, no, we don't do a whole lot of these.
Harrison, Jeremy's client, asked, Omar, what are the most common fixes and updates you do to your properties?
Or other client properties. Again, for it's a flip, full thing. Um, Focus more on kitchen and bathrooms. That's where we always go. So kitchen and bathrooms will sell the house and rent it. You know, like people just love the bathrooms and kitchens, although they don't spend so much time in the kitchen anymore. But we just kitchen and bathrooms, flooring, paint, the whole spiel.
All right. Before I, hey, morning, Steven is tuning in. He's new also to the school community and he's connected with Liam and Jeremy. So Omar, maybe at some point, Steven may be doing some work with you also, but he's looking for
Nice.
more little rent ready type stuff, minor rehab. So I don't know if that's something you also do also, like
Yeah.
small, like you said, smaller jobs.
Yeah. We do a lot of like just rent ready.
We just did one in
Yep, that took
Natrona
what,
Heights.
2 weeks. That was really quick,
Quick and
Jeremy.
easy.
It was like so quick. Like 1 week or 10 days, we're out of there. You know, paint, flooring, little updates and out. So these are good ones too. I like these more than the bigger renovations, to be honest.
Sarah says she grew up 4 hours from Gary in Michigan.
Oh,
Whenever we travel to Chicago, we plan the entire trip around not stopping in Gary or
I wanna
running
go
out
to Gary.
running out of gas in Gary.
I'm gonna start telling people when they were like, "Oh, where are you from?" I'm gonna be like Gary.
It's probably not that
Let's
long of a
go,
drive
Jeremy.
from Pittsburgh.
You can find your wife there.
Right? Yeah.
Jovi says, if the car breaks down, leave it and run.
Is it really that bad, or is it just another? I would go there, and it's a beautiful neighborhood. You know what I mean? And people just make it sound so bad. I don't know. We'll have to
Well,
check.
it seems like it is getting better. There's a lot of investors that are in that market now, because there was a lot of vacant homes, so there was a lot of opportunities. But they're also finding it harder now because there's so much people that were going there to flip these homes. So they're finding all this competition. There's not enough contractors there, I think. So to
Yeah.
get the work done.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that far from.
Did you really look it
Chicago.
up just now, Joe?
I didn't realize it was.
All right, let's go.
Yeah,
We're spending the
it's
weekend.
along. It's along the lake. I thought it was like in the middle of the state. But apparently it's
Jovi
not.
says, yeah, it actually isn't as bad as it used to be.
Yeah, there's areas everywhere where it's it's like that. I mean, you're just focusing on investing and stuff like this. It's not too bad.
All right, well, maybe we'll wrap it up with that then. Is there maybe one area in Pittsburgh or, that you guys probably would avoid or wouldn't do work there? Just someplace or you would do work pretty much anywhere in Pittsburgh in a sense.
Homewood. I was just
Homewood.
Right.
Glad we're in agreement on that
Homewood
one.
for sure.
But it's crazy because Homewood, if you go, it's literally on the other side of the railroad tracks. You go on the other side of the tracks, and there's houses selling for $800,000.
Yeah. I mean, I would go work anywhere, right? We will take our perspective. If you're a good client, we'll go work in the areas. We handle neighbors, we handle the neighborhood. We're known in the city, so I don't think we have any issues with going to work. It's just if the deal works. But I wouldn't personally want to necessarily buy there. Although I have some properties all over, like C and D neighborhoods, and they cash flow great, but not necessarily in an area where there's shooting and stuff like that. I'm thinking about the kind of tenant that's going to live there too. So
Sarah says, my mom used to be like, everyone pee now because we cannot stop in Gary.
Gary's on my bucket list now. I got to go to Gary and go live.
All right. Okay. Last one from Steven then. Like I said, he's kind of he's in Canada, so he's looking to invest out of state. So we have
a lot of clients in Canada actually.
Oh, so Steven, have you heard that? But here he says, what are the biggest challenges compared to duplex versus single family home? Maintenance, tenants, etc.
Say that one more time.
What are the biggest challenges compared to duplex versus single family home? I guess is it maintenance, tenants? Like, what would you say is the biggest challenges between a small multi or a single family rental, I guess?
Single family tenants tend to stay longer, so there's that. They won't cash flow as well, so that's if you're prioritizing cash flow, single family could be a little tougher because most of the neighborhoods in and around the Pittsburgh area, single family is going to sell for the same as a duplex, but the duplex is going to rent for more. But the turnover is going to be a little more in the apartments. You can have more babysitting type issues with apartment tenants, especially if it's like an up-down duplex or they share a common area or laundry. Most areas have both. So I wouldn't say it's like the multifamily is only located in the bad areas, single family is better areas. So not a ton of differences between that. I would say you'd probably get more economies of scale with the multifamily just in terms of maintenance and capex as a percentage of the rent amount compared to single family. But single family tenants, from my experience, a lot of them kind of do a lot of things themselves that you might have to hire out for multifamily, like cutting the grass, doing the landscaping, cleaning the gutters, odds and ends type things like that. So pros and cons to each, but I tend to kind of prefer multifamily personally just because of the cash flow side of things. And I really like if you can get like a side-by-side multifamily. I would say those are kind of the best of both worlds as far as combining the two.
Brandon says managing up-down duplexes with tenants, noise, leaks, etc. affect bottom tenant more than top tenant. Sarah,
Yeah, it's like I've had ones too where there's like say laundry in the second floor or sink or bathroom and it's leaking into the first floor, and then instead of just dealing with one tenant, you now have two tenants involved because it's in both of the units. So just more management intensiveness type things such as that for sure.
All right. Well, this was a fun one. Like I said, man, Omar, I think people are gonna hopefully request for you to be back on, just like Jeremy. I think a lot of people like to tune in to get a better breakdown because they are interested in Pittsburgh. I definitely, I see it because of the price points. A lot of people are getting priced out of their areas, and it's getting difficult for them to find things that make sense. And this is always helpful. I think Jeremy gets a lot of traction from these lives. A lot of people reach out to him after, and I think, like I said, Omar, I think people will be reaching out to you, and hopefully you can get some traction from this. And like they said, we're all just pushing each other and working together.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we'll do this again. Maybe get the Deacon back on next time. Alex was great. I think a lot of people enjoyed his content also.
Yeah,
Oh,
you missed a
really? I
good one,
know. I love
Omar, with
Alex.
Alex.
Yeah,
Next
and
time
then
for sure.
I told Mark, I'm like, I'm surprised
Yeah,
you got him
Alex
on
is
here.
hidden lately.
I think he had fun. So I think like I said, maybe I'll try get him on once a month or something. Even Liam says he's happy to jump on. So we'll do a Pittsburgh round table maybe with all of you folks. But thanks for doing this. This was a good one, and we'll do it again soon.